How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel on the Tools with Sal. Today's episode, we're going to cover, you're going to watch some time-lapse footage of me installing a new cylinder head and head gasket on this TDI. So here we go. Here you go. I blew out all the holes. I had to go outside because I didn't want to use the grinder inside while the engine was opened up. I took two of the old head bolts, and I cut them into alignment studs. And right here, I'm putting the guide dowels back into the top of the block. And those are those head studs that I made. I just cut the head off, and I cut a slot in there so I could tighten them with a screwdriver. And yeah, so we went with a cylinder head kit from AMC. We purchased it at idparts.com, and the customer service, lightning fast shipping. Very, very happy with them. So anyway, I'm going to post another video on prepping and painting the block with the POR 15 and their engine enamel kit. But here you can see this is a close-up shot of the block, and we didn't machine the block. I just sanded the top of it with a nice rigid sanding block. I took those dowels out, and we sanded it. I spent about 45 minutes total just sanding and getting it bone flat, perfectly flat. You're not going to get all the discoloration out from where the fire rings are on the gasket. But here I am, I'm just making sure everything's nice and clean. I sprayed the cylinder walls again with some WD-40, wiped them out, rotated the engine a bunch of times. Now we put the gasket on, letters up, and I followed the old gasket that was in there that came apart. It was a 2-hole gasket, and that's what we ordered. So here I just I had my impact set down to 1, and we ran all the head bolts in. The bolts do come oiled underneath the washers. They have pre-installed washers, and they're already oiled. So no Loctite, no oil on the threads, just right out of the box. We're going to torque these in phases. There's 4 steps on these, and it's basically, if I remember, it was 40 Newton meters and then 60 Newton meters, 1 pass each on those torque values. Here we are. We're using the SnapOn TechAngle, and I'm using the 3/8 for this. I like to try to keep my torque values in the middle of the operating ranges on my tools. I have a 1/2-inch run. You're going to see it in the second half of this torque sequence. But here we go. We're just running through everything, 2 passes, and unfortunately, I didn't get a shot of the tops of the head bolts. So what I like to do is I like to mark everything with a paint pen. You'll see me using it, but I wanted to get a little detail shot of the tops of the bolts, and you'll see why that's important. So you'll see as we move a little forward, you see the engine stands moving around a little bit on the plywood, and what's happening is the torque wrench will pick up the stand moving. We'll pick that up and count it as degrees of rotation. So right now I'm doing the initial rundown and regular torque values. It's not measuring angle, it's just measuring the tension of the bolt, the torque. So it's still reading appropriately. So what I ran into was when I did the second passes, the third pass and the fourth pass, it was reading, let's say, 90 degrees, but the bolt head didn't move 90 degrees. I had to go in and I had to move the bolt a couple extra degrees, because as the bolts get tighter, you run into the chance of the block and the engine stand moving. In hindsight, what I probably should have done is I should have rotated this engine on the engine stand 90 degrees and pushed down on the torque wrench, and it would have reduced the chance of getting a false reading on the angle measurement. But by marking the bolt with the start position, I was able to track. You'll see here I'm marking the initial dot I made was white, and I went closest to on the cylinder head, I went closest to the valve cover rail. So that's where I started, and then I was able to visually get confirmation that I went 90 degrees. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. So there is a way of torquing these without having a digital torque wrench. Even when you deal with larger fasteners, in diesel applications, industrial applications, you can use the paint pen method, and you could actually set your initial torque with a torque wrench, and then you could actually use an impact to go your extra 90 degrees, 120 degrees, whatever the case may be. So you don't always need digital, to do torque angle, torque to yield fasteners. It's just a matter of you mark your fastener, and then you put a reference line on your socket, and then you can use a 3-foot breaker bar with a piece of pipe. You could put the impact on it. You can use a torque multiplier if you need to give you that extra, whatever turns, turn angle to get to your final torque for the fastener. So this is going to be a fun little build. We're pretty excited to get to get moving along. We're trying to get most of this inside work done while it's nasty weather out, because we're attempting to get this to be a rolling chassis by mid to late summer. So I would like to get this engine built and out of my garage, because the next thing that we're going to roll in is we're going to refurbish the axles next, and that'll be the next thing that we tackle. So it'd be nice to try to keep as much mechanical work as possible at my house versus having to load up tools and bring them to my friend's house. All right, so here you're going to see I'm going to start doing the first 90-degree turn. And one of the cool things about the SnapOn TechAngle is when you hit 90 degrees or whatever value you get, you're going for, it'll give you the highest peak torque that you applied, and it keeps it in whatever unit of measurement you were using. So what I did was, just for my own curiosity, and what I did was as I did each pass, I just jotted down my torque values, and I just wanted to keep track of that. So what I did end up doing is, like I said, I kept track with dots. I used a paint marker. You'll see I did the first pass. I marked the initial, the 60 Newton meter measurement. That was a white dot. And then once I did the first turn, 90 degrees, I made another dot. And then I wanted to make sure that you basically have to make a 180-degree turn, but it's in 2 steps. I wanted to make sure that I got the full 180-degree turn. So like right there, you see the block move, the whole engine stand moved. It the digital torque wrench sees that rotation as the handle moving. It doesn't factor in if you're under load or not. So when it sees it move like that, those degrees count. So I caught it. I watched the reading on the degrees. It skipped. So that made me reevaluate what I was doing, and I was like, okay, so now I'm gonna have to do a dot an extra dot, and get to the full, so I can make sure I get to the full 180 degrees. So yeah, it is nice using the TechAngle, because you can get really close, and you don't have to. You get the visual and the vibration, the tactile feedback on the tool. Plus, it'll also beep when you're getting close, and if you overshoot. So there you go. You can see I'm doing them in sets of 2. So I would do two head bolts, and then I would take the torque measurement that I was getting, the final torque on that turn, and I would write it down on my scratch pad, and then I would mark the fasteners with a dot of paint pen. So we're just moving along here. I want to say it took me, with the cleaning, I did a lot of straightening up in the garage. And between straightening up in the garage, getting set, I blew out all the cylinder head holes, the head bolt holes, triple cleaned the block, re-wiped out the cylinders real quick. Between that and, mounting the head and doing all the torque values and everything, I think maybe 90 minutes of work. So I'm trying to, I juggle between going to the gym 5 days a week and working on this engine, plus being, a husband and a dad. It gets a little hectic sometimes. Sometimes I'll just go downstairs to, get something at 10 o'clock at night, and it's just sitting there, and I'll just, let me knock out 20 minutes worth of work. So even after we did the pour 15, prior to doing the pour 15, I cleaned all the thread holes. I ran a tap and die through them a bunch of times with WD-40 and everything. But then after we did the pour 15, a lot of the threads had material in them, so I had to go in and open up all the thread holes. And, it was a bunch of work. So, even if you do 30, 40 minutes of work a day on a project, as long as you take good notes and keep track of where you started and stopped and where you left off, you can make a lot of progress on a project and not get overwhelmed. It's kind of as long as you keep the ball moving downfield, eventually you'll set your eye on the prize, and you'll get there eventually. So I wanted to talk about, here I am, I'm just moving along. You're gonna see there's one of these torque turns I did, the whole thing moved, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to figure something out. But yes, it's turning out to be a very rewarding process, this project. So I'm happy with it. My buddy who owns the project, he's painting a whole bunch of parts. That'll be the next thing that I'm waiting on. The next step is I got to put the oil pump on, and oil pump, the chain, new pickup, bolt together the bottom end, and then I got to put the front. There's a front cover that goes around the timing gear on the bottom, and once I get that done, then I could put the front timing cover on, the plastic, the back plate for the timing cover, and then we could start installing the timing gear and time the motor. And then actually I got to install the accessory bracket and put the injection pump in. Then we could time the motor. That'll be pretty cool. So as far as, I say it's on the tools with Sal, we haven't really done any tool videos. If you are building or working on a Volkswagen, you're going to need a lot of triple squares and some good Allen bit sockets, as well as some 12-point sockets. Personally, a lot of guys are like, I like to use the cheapest tools I could find. When it comes to stuff like that, especially like with bit sockets, I like using the SnapOn stuff. I have a very good relationship with my SnapOn dealer. I don't work on his route. I used to. And I actually, I drive to him. He has 2 routes in 2 separate towns on alternating days. So I will, I'll drive to either one of his towns where he works. And I will go visit him. I get exceptional service. So if I break a bit or something, it's kind of like a no questions asked. He'll, he gives me a very good service. He lives near my house. He has my garage code. I've had him drop tools off at my house during the day, after hours, on the weekends. I have a very good SnapOn guy, so I can't really complain with that. So other specialty tools, I think I'm going to do a video on that, just on Volkswagen tools. But I did buy the timing holding set. I bought some stuff from Metal Nerd, and then I also have the Asenmacher tools set that holds the cam in the back of the head. So I'm going to make a video on just on doing that. But here we go. I'm just moseying along, just torquing everything down. So here we go. I readjusted the engine stand. It looks like we're almost done doing this. So I think this is kind of where I'm like, all right, I got to go like, 10 more degrees on this one just to give it a little. Oh no, this is looks like it's still a 90-degree turn. But yeah, just going back to the TechAngle wrenches. No complaints with mine. They do get used for residential use. With the projects that I do, they get used pretty heavily. I'm pretty careful with them. They're about 2 years old. I'll bring them on the truck probably once every 3-4 months, and I'll check them. And I kind of do like a self-check, because I have 3. I have the 1/4 inch, the 3/8, and the 1/2. So you can get this, overlap between the 2 smaller ones and the 2 larger ones. So what I'll do is I'll set the, I'll use an adapter, and I'll adapt my 3/8 to like a, I'll adapt it to like a 21 millimeter or 22 millimeter. I forget what my lug nuts are on my truck. I think they're 21s. And what I'll do is I'll take the lug nut off, and I'll torque it down to, let's say 75 foot-pounds. And then I'll take the 1/2 inch, and I'll set it to 75 foot-pounds, and I'll see if the readings match. And then you can do the same thing with the 1/4 and the 3/8. It'll be on the higher side of the 1/4 inch and on the lower side of the 3/8. It's just a quick check. It's not a calibration per se, but it's more of a check. So yeah, no problems with them. They all three of them have the 80 tooth, the dual 80 ratchet head. I like it. It's very smooth. I had the gear wrench ones before this. I was being very cheap. I had four actually. Excuse me. I had 4 Snap-on micrometer style wrenches that I bought when I graduated trade school. I had a 1/4 inch drive. I had these are all click style micrometer. I had a 1/2 inch and a 3/8 micrometer style in the regular sizes, and then in the 1/4 inch I had a 1/4 inch drive one, and I had a 1/4 by 3/8 drive. So it was the smaller body. It only went up to like 30 foot-pounds or so. And I really use that one a lot. So I really wish that Snap-on would make the 1/4 inch TechAngle, the smaller one, because that only goes up to like, I think it only goes up to like 30 foot-pounds or something like that. I really wish they would make something like that in 3/8 drive, just because it's smaller. Overall, the whole thing is smaller, and it'll work better in tighter spots. So, yeah, I mean, this is like a nice little video, little progress, little update on this. The only thing I did today was I set the cylinder head and got it in place. I know we talked about torque wrenches and some tools, so let's kind of keep you in the loop as far as what's going on here. So, like I said, the next step here is we're gonna do the oil pan, the oiling system. I'm probably gonna mount. Not gonna hang anything on the side of the engine yet. I got to get the accessory bracket cleaned and painted first, and yeah, that's it. So, like I said, thanks for stopping by on the channel. Comment, like, subscribe, you know the deal. Appreciate the support. We're trying to get this channel off the ground. Hopefully this TDI project helps, documenting it helps get us some subscribers. And, yeah, remember, measure twice, cut once, guys. And wear safety glasses. And if you have any suggestions or whatever, make sure, feel free to comment, or you can find me on Facebook. And there we go. Thanks for stopping by.